Hello and welcome to a new series of interviews with global leaders and change makers for citiesabc.com. This citiesabc.com is a new smart wiki cities digital platform for reinventing and uniting cities, universities and citizens. And we are focusing in getting the best people in the world that are changing technology, changing cities, changing countries, and as well coming up with the solutions that we need. Might be with technology in different areas, from digital transformation to IoT to artificial intelligence, and of course areas like cybersecurity and a lot of other things that are critical for our time. Today we have with us Kai Grunwitz, and Kai is a very high-profile personality in the technology industry that has been having roles in multiple companies worldwide. Right now working and being the director for Germany for NTT, a big company focused on digital infrastructure and as well digital transformation infrastructure and intelligence. And as well in the past he's been working with the likes of Oracle, Sun, Microsystems and a lot of other companies. Welcome to our series, Kai.
Hey, Dennis, thanks a lot for inviting me, and it's a pleasure being here today with you and doing this interview. You already flagged a lot of things, and I did in the past, and we will touch base on that. I'm sure about that in the flow of the conversation. In general, I really like the idea of these type of interviews to share experience and ideas, and I'm really looking forward to having this conversation today with you here. And I'm now a while in the business, and I have done a couple of interviews. This is a new experience in that format, so I'm really interested in how it will work out for us at the end.
No, it's a pleasure and honor, and I think it's exciting for us as well. We are doing this digital, we work in digital technology, but I think it's particularly interesting as well. And I think that probably I will start by questions related with that, but I would like to. So as someone that has been in the industry for some time, and as well someone that has been working very leadership positions, I would like to start by your profile, where you're coming from. You're joining us from Germany, and the German, of course, is one of the powerhouses in technology in the world, but as well being probably not known for a lot of things that are happening there. So first of all, your background and profile, education as well.
Sure. So you're right. I just did the math in the background while you introduced me. It's nearly 30 years now. I'm in the IT industry. After finishing the university, I studied at the University of Mannheim, and I kind of Master of Business Administration. It's a German Diplom-Kaufmann at that time. I don't know a good translation for that. With a strong focus on development of organizations, marketing, psychology, and other things. So I'm not a typical IT with a typical IT background, but I started my professional career directly in the IT business after finishing university. At that time, we still had the old style mainframe type of IT environments. It was a little bit scary at that time to think about technology, and I just remember that we had no mobiles, nothing, no emails at that time when we started. So it's a long time. I feel like a dinosaur to a certain degree. And after university, I started directly in the IT, and I learned my ropes from scratch, with how do you work through the OSE model and all the things, and how to build complex and interesting solutions that improve the business performance of the companies at that time. So I started in a sales role at that time. That was pretty interesting. We started with the first SAP project, and then I was co-owner of a consulting company for a while, and we focused on data center optimization, how to run efficient data centers, how to move them from mainframe to open systems. We had the dream at that time to shut down the mainframe for a while, because we have been so addicted to the Unix environment that we thought, okay, we can replace all the stuff. It was a pure consulting play in Germany. We worked for large-scale clients all around Germany, and we did a lot of this stuff to talk about high availability, disaster recovery. We talked about service level management implementation, but also operational excellence in the data center around Unix systems at that time. We sold down the company later on, and I joined Sun Microsystems, which was an exciting time. Sun was one of the companies so passionate about technology and innovation that really built a kind of culture across the company, which was pretty unique at that time. So it was a great experience and being part of that organization. And afterwards, I joined Oracle through the Sun acquisition, more or less, because I followed the acquisition. So I moved from Sun Microsystems to Oracle and ran the Oracle consulting in Northern Europe for a while. And I was a member of the German management board at Oracle. And here we covered everything from the silicon to the application, from the infrastructure systems up to the application, ERP and cloud projects. That was the beginning of the cloud transformation, which was a nice challenge for all of us at that time. And after leaving Oracle, I joined NTT Security, and I spent 5 years mainly in cybersecurity. And I was the SVP for NTT Security at that time in Europe. So I really drove the strategy of cybersecurity in Europe. And also, it was always my intention to move away from the traditional way to think in infrastructure, to think in data, to think in applications, and think in transformation, because cybersecurity is a backbone of the digital transformation. That we really try to be on top of all the transformational security topics from day one, and it really worked out fantastic. And we built a great collaboration with companies across the globe, and we have created a lot of interesting things around detecting threats and others, but we can touch base on that later. And now for 1 year, nearly 1 year now, NTT has asked me to run the business here in Germany for NTT Ltd, to drive the digital transformation, digital infrastructures, including cybersecurity. It's still part of our portfolio, and honestly, I don't want to miss it because it's an exciting part of the business. But we should not put security in the front. For me, it's more something that it has to be run in the back end as an embedded. We talk about security by design to enable the digital transformation. It's so relevant. Digital transformation will fail without security. But at the end, we want to create services that create values for the companies, for societies and people, and they have to be secure. So security is part of our integrated DNA and my integrated DNA, because it's something we really focus on. So that's in a short run my professional background, and I'm pretty passionate about digital transformation, about technologies supporting the digital transformation, and therefore you have a strong focus on smart cities and the development of cities, development societies. So it's a good fit to have this conversation today here.
So before I go to NTT and the different areas, which I have a lot of questions, I would like to ask one thing I think very few people are touching. So when you look at German executives, you have always a scientific and academic background quite strong. There's always a master, PhD, and stuff like that. I would like to highlight that for our audience, because if you go outside of Germany, that doesn't happen. I think I've been working probably all the countries in the planet, or most of that, and you have that uniqueness. Can you just, on your background, I think it would be quite interesting to, probably for our audience, we have people from all over the world, to explain that uniqueness that you have between the academy, the research, and then the business in Germany, which I think it's interesting to explain as well your background.
Oh yeah. So it's first of all, it's very tied together, all the components. In Germany, we strongly believe in engineering. We are an engineering country, which is, by the way, a coincidence with Japan. So that's cultural-wise, we're pretty close in that sense. So for us in Germany, we have an education system which is pretty strict and pretty focused on engineering and on creating an education for the young people, which enable them to be successful in various scientific but also business areas. So for us, the university education is pretty high. I think I don't have the latest percentage of people finishing universities in Germany, but it's pretty high. Sorry, I don't have the number at hand.
Yeah.
And it's I have 3 kids, and they all think about what I will do at university. It's a normal approach in the mindset in Germany to think about, I need to have a very good education to be prepared for the business, for the jobs, etc. So it's in our DNA in Germany. That's the truth. And a lot of people finish university, especially if you move in technology roles. But it's also important for me to mention that a lot of people go in a second education path and do that later and don't do that in the first run. We have a lot of people who are finish school, start to work, and then return to university and do build their education level on a second path. So from my perspective, education is one strong pillar of the German market, but on the other hand is also the appetite of lifelong learning. A lot of people want to learn, to develop themselves continuously, and I think that's another important point, because sometimes or not sometimes, I strongly believe that the passion and the interest and the motivation is as important as the education, because you have a lot of people worldwide, but also in Germany, who are super strong in the technical area or in any area of expertise, but they have not finished university, maybe not in first run, maybe in a second run. So for me, is the attitude is as important as the education. And that's also valid for Germany, because also in Germany we have a lot of people with a strong attitude. They finished the university in one area and expertise, and they ended up in something completely different. Look at me, I'm from the business side, and I ended up in the pure IT world. So it changed. But for us, the collaboration of the universities, the politics, but also the business is pretty tight. You have a lot of mixed groups of people coming together and discussing the future, the direction. You have a lot of exchange in all directions, and I think that's an area that really makes our system pretty strong. The collaboration from the business, from the education and research, but as well the politics and government. And I think we are on a good track here, and that helps us also to be always on top of new technologies. Okay, a lot of people will say Germany is not leading edge in artificial intelligence at the moment, for example. US and China are moving ahead. But if you look at the European market, and Germany is a strong player in Europe, if you look at what we do in Europe to close the gap, you see that there are a lot of investments in Germany also in these leading edge technologies. We are always on top on OT. We are always focusing on engineering around not only cars but other areas. So I think we are still leading edge in a lot of areas. We have maybe lost a little bit the attractiveness for some young companies to being built in Germany for a while, but that's changed now. We see more and more companies being founded in Germany, in Berlin, in other areas, in Munich areas, etc., to invest in artificial intelligence, blockchain solutions, smart applications, how we can use data to build smart agriculture and other solutions. So you see this kind of entrepreneurship is getting back into the country, which makes me pretty happy about what I see in Germany. And this would not happen without the universities and the research centers working hand in hand with the business. And so there's a lot of passion about that in Germany. I agree. And it's also fun. It's also important. People enjoy reading, knowledge, and all the things. So interesting part. So, sorry for the long answer.
No. That's amazing, and I think it's important. This is a long-term interview. So I think in terms of speaking right now with your background and as well your position NTT. So can you, NTT is not so well known as Oracle or Sun Systems. Can you tell us a bit about NTT, the company, the growth as well? Because I think it's interesting to demystify. Normally, you only talk about some companies, but
Oh
there's
yes.
other companies that are quite big, like NTT.
So I think NTT is sometimes I call it a hidden giant. We're around. I will make the round numbers. I don't do a company presentation now, but we are around 300,000 people worldwide. It's a Japanese telecom. We have a legacy of 120 years. We have a history of 120 years. And we are one of the largest IT and telecommunications provider worldwide. I'm working in NTT Ltd, which is the IT part for the digital infrastructure. As I said, we're around 45,000 people worldwide and more than 1,500 in Germany. So just to give you some numbers on that, overall, the revenue, to give you an idea, the revenue for NTT is around $105 billion per year. So pretty significant. But what is for me a very impressive number, if we talk about NTT, is the strong focus on R&D as well, because NTT is approximately investing $3.6 billion per year in R&D to develop new solutions around augmented reality, around smart connectivities, around connected driving, robotics, artificial intelligence, blockchain, everything. We are invest in a lot of things, and like you do with R&D departments, sometimes you invest in smart ideas and you will never become productized, and in other areas we create smart solutions we can incorporate in our overall solutions. So NTT is an innovative company, and helping the society to become digital, to work in a secure digital environment is one of our key areas we focus on. And we have, at the end, in a nutshell, we have 4 or 5 pillars. We have the digital infrastructure layer, which means we also provide data centers. We also have own data centers, a lot of data centers worldwide. Sometimes we call ourselves home to the cloud because we have so many data centers. It's fantastic. And we also have the digital infrastructure. Of course, we are networking companies. We have own networks. We have own oversee cablings and other things. So we are a level 1 carrier here. And also we have the topics about cybersecurity. We have the topics about customer experience and digital experience, collaboration. It's more important than ever nowadays, how to collaborate in the world of a pandemic. It's a new challenge, and we're supporting a lot of clients in that area. And last but not least, we call it intelligent business, which is all about innovations. It's about how we create the solutions for the society 5.0, or how I call it. In some areas in Japan, we talk about society 5.0. You know, we have a lot of companies, a lot of countries talk about industrialization, industry 4.0. I prefer the word 5.0 and the society, because it's more create value for the society instead of only focusing on the technology. A lot of people think about in technologies. I think we need to act in a different way. We have a responsibility as a company as well to create technologies that create value for the society, to create values for the people and not only for the company. And that's a strong belief of NTT. We have a social responsibility to create technology that makes the world a better place. So it's a pretty proud history, and it's also, we have a clear vision that we want to be the partner for our for other companies on the digital transformation. And I think that's it's a good place to be with NTT, because we combine tradition with vision, and that's something not a lot of companies can say nowadays. So I'm pretty happy with the NTT position now.
That's quite amazing. So I want to touch one part, not going to geopolitics. It's quite interesting because you are a German and German leader, and you're working for a big Japanese company. And if you look at the world at the moment, you have a kind of a dichotomy, or at least a division between US and China. So it's quite interesting to contrapose to a completely different vision. And as well, that vision is becoming increasingly geopolitical and not the most positive one, especially from the US leadership. But if you look at what you just said about Society 5.0, and as well that vision of tradition, but as well empowering society, which is very different from the narratives we have, at least mainstream. Can you elaborate on that? Because I think it's really very important, and as well more important than ever, especially to face the challenge we are having right now. But particularly interesting from the angle of German as one of the leading global economies and technology powerhouses and engineering, and as well Japan, which is kind of two of the biggest economies, precisely after the US and China. So can you tell us about on that level and as well that narrative that is very different from what you see at least in the mainstream?
Yeah, we have two things. First of all, Japan and Germany, and also Europe and Japan. We have signed last year the Japanese-European trade agreement, which is important for us because, as you said correctly, we have the US and China as dominating industries globally. And for us, it's important that we demonstrate with that agreement also that protectionism and nationalism is not the only way nowadays. It's also, we still can work with sharing values and sharing objectives across the globe and working in a collaborative way, which is a very important thing for me as well. For me personally, it's important to think as a global citizen and do the right things. Always, you have to combine business decisions with the ethical thinking and the responsibility we have for the future society. So that's a very important point. And in Japan and Germany, for example, just to bring that together, we have similar challenges. We have an aging society. We need technology to overcome some of these challenges. We have an engineer-driven industry, which is a little bit lagging behind the China and US, but it's even more important then to collaborate to close the gap on that area. I made the example of artificial intelligence before. It's just one component. It's robotics. It's driving. In Japan, you see, for example, in the car, they go for the hydro energy. I don't know how it's called. Sorry, I'm struggling with the word at the moment. Not for the electric cars only, like in the US. We go for different engineering solutions. In Germany, we also think, should we go electric? Should we go in hydro energy? Or should we go into traditional combustion with smarter engines, etc.? How to combine things to be sustainable on the other hand as well. So we also think about not only monodirectional, we really have to be open and think about how we can design technology that really creates a value. And working in these two countries, it's a little bit, it feels comfortable for me. It's different culture, of course. Culture-wise, Japan and Germany are far away from each other in some areas, but on the other, from the mindset and the how we want to address business and technology, we're pretty comparable, and we all have to overcome the challenges we see with the digitization, with the aging society, and how we get these the passion in the society behind the technology which is driving digital transformation. Because one key challenge with digital transformation in Germany, and to a certain degree also in Japan, but I prefer to speak about Germany, is that a lot of people don't trust technology. They don't believe that the technology will create a benefit for themselves. I always speak about a separation of society. Part of the people are excited about the technology, are excited about the potential of the technologies, while on the other hand, we have 50% of the society which is just concerned. concerned about their future, their jobs, because some of the jobs will not be there anymore because they will be not needed if you automate more, if you go into robotics, if you use artificial intelligence for some part of the jobs. So they have to re-educate themselves to be ready for the future market. So there's a lot of concern. Also, what will happen with all the data? We talked about, we nowadays have, with the COVID-19 discussion, should we use the app to track who's contacted whom? Good point from a health perspective. On the other hand, if you talk about the data protection, how visible I want to be as a person. And in Germany, we have a tradition of being very rigid about data protection. We own our data. You know, with GDPR, we have moved in that direction. So we see this aspect, which is pretty important for us in Germany. And working for a Japanese company, that was the initial question, is, for me, it feels very comfortable because we share similar values. We have similar challenges in the business and in the society. So it's, for me, an important point. We also try to bridge Japan and German engineering quite often. We go in co-innovations with clients. We do co-develop with research centers sometimes. We also work on with politicians and other companies to foster the knowledge exchange, Japan and Germany, and also to build platforms where we can meet and greet and share what is good in Japan, what's good in Germany, how to bring that together. So for me, it's a perfect place from that side, and it's an interesting journey. We are going hand in hand, more or less, Japan and Germany on that journey. But it's a little bit under the radar because a lot of people talk about China and US and forget the rest.
It's a very good point. So going right now into detail and some of the DNA of the entity, something that I like researching about the company and about your work is precisely what you said. How can we accelerate digital business transformation with business or the intelligent business and secure by design? And one of the things that you mentioned is 3 areas that I particularly like. So intelligent business, intelligence workplace, and intelligence infrastructure. So could you highlight that? Because I think that's critical, and I think we need to demystify and look at that in a 360 degrees, which we were talking before.
So first of all, digital transformation has one component no one talks about, and that's what I said before, it's the people. You will fail without winning the heart of the people in a company, in society. And so therefore, what I said before, we have to take the concern serious, and also not only run in a technocentric approach, but also focus on building the processes and the environment for the people to feel comfortable. That's another important point before I touch base on the technology side. Having said that, if you run a transformation in the company, never forget the people. That's a big advice. A lot of people work with implemented technology and they wonder why the transformation is not happen like a magic thing, and you have a magic wand and you use a new technology and the digitization happens. It will not work. If you not adjust your business model, if you not question and challenge your existing business model, it will not work. It's the same for other things in the governmental sector. You cannot just apply a new application and the digitalization will happen. Now for the areas, the digital infrastructure or the intelligent infrastructure is changing. Nowadays, we are not in static environments anymore. We have to think in how we can create an agile environment that supports the changing demands we see in a digital environment. We have the cloudization, which happens. It started slow, but we are accelerating. And even in countries like Germany, where we have been slow in the adoption rates now, we see more and more cloud environments becoming popular, but not always public cloud, quite often in hybrid cloud environments where you combine the these areas. On the other hand, we also see the same stuff applies on the WAN environment, software-defined WAN, automation is key in that area. We're moving away from infrastructure which is really defined and fixed. We need, and we are moving in the direction of agile environments here, cloud environments, and also software-defined networks here, really to get the flexibility we need in our day-to-day life to respond to new challenges, which is for me the key on the intelligent business to really become intelligent. Sometimes we think we have a solution which is adaptable and scalable, but at the end it's not. You need new boxes and new devices as soon as you have a new business challenge. Here we see the trend going in the direction of more agile, more managed, more automation behind that to really be resilient to the different demands. So that's an important point for us here to focus on, and for me on the other items, intelligent cybersecurity. Or intelligence, is it cybersecurity intelligence? You can question what does intelligent means. For me, it's always, because in the past we always used the word smart for everything: smart cities, smart healthcare, smart something. Intelligent is the same. It means, for me, use the technology which creates the best value nowadays, and be smart in the usage and intelligent in the usage, how you build your solutions. So I'm not a big fan of the word intelligent and smart in that area, because at the end it's what we always did. We use we use the technology to build the solutions we need for the current demand. On cybersecurity, I think the key here is what I said before: to move away from a traditional approach in the infrastructure. You still see a lot of investments in firewalls and other things, while the biggest challenge we see on the data and application layer. And this means we need to change the way how we manage our data, how we protect our data, how we manage the access to our data. And what we see in cyber as well is that we see a conversion now, that we see the IT and OT space. We're in the, if you talk about production environments, about hospitals, about a lot of areas where you see the production critical infrastructure is growing together with the IT, which is a new challenge for cybersecurity as well, where we need to think different. We cannot think in IT, OT, and or hospital IT and non-hospital IT. It's all come together. So you need to have an end-to-end approach for cybersecurity. And also, do you have intelligent means? Don't forget cybersecurity when you start a new project. Incorporate cybersecurity from day one of a project plan. Don't do it afterwards, because if you want to do it afterwards, you're lost already. So intelligent here means think cyber first as soon as you start to design a transformation. So that's, for me, the intelligent part here. And of course, you need a lot of technologies to support that. The threat landscape is changing massively, and cyber criminals, they have, in fact, it's one of the most profitable business out there. It is still there. The risk of being caught is at the end of being jailed is pretty low, and so it's very attractive for the people with the right with the wrong motivation to do that, and therefore you need also measures to not only to protect but also to detect the cyber attacks before they impact the business and the people steal your data. So that's a component to move from a protection to the proactive cybersecurity approach in that area. And the last item you raised is the intelligent business, which is, for me, it's a little bit for me, think about the future. If you talk about healthcare or sports, let's go to sports. Today in sports, also sports depends on data. we need data to analyze how to improve the performance of the people. We need data to improve the way how we structure the traffic flows for large sports events. We can use chatbots to help automate a lot of processes in hospitals, for example. We are working with some of the hospitals to use chatbots to manage the incoming calls, to manage the flow of the people, to bring the people to the right direction in the hospitals, to find the people, etc., to find the right treatments. It's very important that we are open for new ideas in that area, to use artificial intelligence, for example, to handle that. The voice recognition capabilities are fantastic nowadays, and the systems can do it even better than we can do it sometimes. And therefore, it's all around creating smart solutions, creating value based on all the other technologies we have around that. And that's for me the fascinating part about intelligent business. Customer experience is a key differentiator nowadays for all companies. If you don't have the right approach toward that, the clients in the past we said the competition is just one click away, and that's the reality. We really have to prepare how we can build the maximum customer retention, how we can build the customer service around that, how to use the data in a way that we can tailor our offerings and solutions for the client. I think that are areas we need to touch base on top of solutions for specific industries, like in combinations with cybersecurity, for example. If you have a car today, it's a driving data center. You have 100 million lines of code in a car. It's more than in a jet. You have a lot of interfaces. This needs to be protected. You have connectivities and communication with the outside world. So that means you will combine a connected car with in-car security, which is an important topic here as well. And because no one wants to drive a car which will be hacked and then it hit the wall. So therefore, you need to combine the technologies in a smart way. I want to have an intelligent car, but I want to have a safe car as well. So it's a direction in which we are heading. So a lot of hot topics in that area, and and a lot of broad topics as well. The item is for us how we can create in this transformation the trust that the people will really embrace the change related to that, and that means at the end how we protect the personal data and the data itself, and it's all back to that.
So
again, a long answer.
No, it's great, and I think it's important because I think some of these topics you cannot just go on the surface; you need to go deeper. So on the point that you mentioned before, but I want to touch that, and I know that you are working a lot on that in your company. So when you talk about Society 5.0, and of course we talk about smart cities infrastructure, smart societies. So you touch using technology to improve and empower cities and communities. And I know that this is critical because we all live in cities in the world more and more. And of course, our cities are becoming increasing technology infrastructure as well, or lack of technology infrastructure. Probably the ones that have lack are the ones that are going to be laying behind.
Yeah.
So what kind of solutions are you working in? And that's as well, what kind of ideas there are behind this technology and these solutions? And you mentioned one thing that is critical is people and empowering people, and as well to come with technology is just one thing. You need to make sure that people use the technology correct. So how do you handle this complexity and as well the solutions you build for this?
So let's start with one thing that seems to be simple, but it's relevant. We see now in big cities a problem how to manage a traffic flow in an efficient way without running in traffic and smart mobility and smart cities in combination here. How to use, for example, the data you gather in a city to optimize the flow of the traffic then I don't speak about cars only. I also speak about pedestrians to avoid critical hotspots in that area, because you can monitor pretty smartly. For example, how crowded will be a tube based on the flow of the pedestrians, and you see how many people will arrive there. You can see if you need additional trains maybe, or you need a different sequence to optimize that in the future. So I think smart cities also means smart mobility concept in that area, to combine the traditional, let's call it cars, public transportation, and pedestrians in a way that you enable the people to move from place A to B with less impact on the flow and the minimum risk as well. That's the other thing. You can identify hotspots to avoid areas where you saw more accidents on the data. What you need for that is, of course, a kind of surveillance. And I always speak about anonymous data, etc. As I said before, for me, it's important that we avoid a kind of overish state where you monitor the people and all the stuff. But you can do counts of people. You can see how many people move from A to B, how many people are in a train, in a bus, and whatever you use to optimize the traffic flows. But to do so, you need the data. And then you need the artificial intelligence or algorithm. I'm always a little bit, we have to be careful if you talk about smart algorithms, or if you speak about real, let's call it unsupervised machine learning, where the system develops their own next generation of intelligence. I speak about smart algorithms using the data to optimize the mobility in a city. That's one example where I think it's very important that we improve technology and incorporate technology, and it requires a lot of communication. If you want to have a seamless communication, you need, for example, the basic is infrastructure again. You need good wireless networks. You need the people want to communicate all the time, but you need also the hotspots to gather the information. So it's a combination of that. So smart infrastructure is a foundation here. Another important point for a smart society is healthcare. I spoke before about the aging society. That means we have a challenge how we can take care of our old people in a very, how to say, we don't have enough bandwidth in a lot of hospital areas. We don't have enough people who takes care of the old people. They don't have enough communication, because our society, we have only a few young people and a lot of old people. We need to find solutions to support them, that they can live longer, for example, at home, supported by robotics, for example, doing the housework for the people, by supporting them in communications. To have in Japan, it's more accepted, for example, to use robots to have communications. Smart robots with strong communication skills. It's different in Germany. In Germany, the acceptance of robots to communicate with robots is not at the same level as it is in Japan. But we need to invest in that area. That's, for me, augmented reality, robotics, and communications, which is important also for taking care of the aging society, and keep the people also mind fit in that area. Because if you don't share and if you don't communicate, it's hard to stay fit. And hospital, other areas, we see more and more robotics moving into the hospital in surgeries. We see artificial intelligence used in the areas that we use it for X-ray analysis. We use it for to cancer screenings for skin cancers, etc., where the pattern recognition of the artificial intelligence is way better than what we can do as a human being, because you can compare more on a global level and see what is normal, what is abnormal. And then you use the doctor on the next level after you have already eliminated the false positives and focus on the real critical things. So we have a lot of things where we can create values. Smart agriculture. There's tons of things to discuss. How to build smart agriculture, how we can optimize the limit, and you mentioned before building a city in Africa. Water is a limiting factor. You need to be smart how to manage the fields there in a way that the crop will grow to the expected level. You can use artificial intelligence to do that. NTT, for example, implemented in Japan a smart agriculture plant for rice, to build smart rice fields and plants. So it's very important in a broad area there. But last but not least, I think it's all about the way to think what is the most burning issue in the society, to focus technology on that, and sometimes do baby steps instead of going for the big bang. Because if you do it step by step, you create acceptance. Returning to the example of the healthcare, there's always a debate. Should I share my data with the rest of the people? If you use the skin detection, the skin cancer detection, you need a lot of data, because artificial intelligence, the system is stupid without data. You need a lot of data to teach the system to recognize what is wrong or what is right. And but that requires that we share data with the others. And that's an important point, that we create small solutions where people see the benefit, like increasing the probability to detect skin cancer before it impact my personal life. And to do so, to enable the overall detection capabilities, I have to share some of my data in an anonymous way with the rest of the society to create a value for the society. And that's what I like about the Society 5.0 thought. Always think about how the technology can create a value, and then think about the steps you have to implement to use the digital transformation and digital capabilities to onboard all the people, because digital transformation requires the buy-in of the people, and the buy-in will happen if they see a value for themselves. And that's a key challenge, and therefore sometimes it's better to do smaller steps instead of going for the big bang to get the acceptance, because everyone, including myself, will immediately say, of course I share my data if the probability that I will be not impacted by cancer will increase. But if I tell the people, we need your data because we will work on a health system, why you want my data? It's always, you have to explain what is the benefit, come from this end instead of the technology side. There is a big debate in Germany about what kind of data we should share. Should it be mandatory to share data? You will find no acceptance for something like that. You can find an acceptance if the people understand what is the benefit, what's in for me, and that's for all areas. If we speak about smart agriculture, a lot of people will be threatened because they see their jobs will maybe disappear. If you do autonomous watering systems and other things, maybe my job will be not there. If you have only harvest system, but also for rice, which is pretty complex, what is my job in the future? Because we don't have only high technology people in the society, and we have to get everyone on board and find a future role for the people as well. So Society 5.0 is more than technology.
Completely, and I think you touch very important points. And I think going to COVID-19, I think this is going to becoming, I think, what happened in the last couple of months, which is very fast. If you see, most of the crises normally take 1 year, 2 years and more. And of course, in the space of 2 months, we had more destruction, especially in financial and economical areas, than actually probably in the last 100 years. So, and of course, the COVID-19 is as well increasing the need for digital transformation, but as well showing, like you said, the importance of change management and the importance of how to make people to adhere to this kind of complexities of technology. So I know that your company is particularly focused on this, and as well, I know that Germany is one of the countries that have been managing better all the COVID-19 as a whole. So could you tell us how you look at COVID-19 as a way to accelerate a lot of things you mentioned, Society 5.0, and as well the infrastructure areas?
Yeah, I think it's so. First of all, I think in the current time, it's not. I'm not sure if it's the right word to use, accelerate, and use COVID for for acceleration. It's a, it feels wrong, honestly. But in
But
reality,
one thing, sorry to interrupt, but it's interesting. Just one thing. For instance, I was looking at data, and for instance, I don't remember the exact numbers, but for instance, the COVID-19 accelerate from like 5-10% of digital transformation in most of the companies, for instance, to work remotely, to 40 to 50%. So
absolutely,
this is a massive angle.
it's
It's
massive.
also that level. Is the reality of the.
It's a reality. It's a reality. But it's definitely supporting the digital transformation and the way the people accept working in a more virtual environment. So I can see it in our own company. We have adapted pretty fast to move to nearly 80% remote work in NTT Germany at the moment. We have 80, 90 in some areas. So we really, where we have not even considered internally to move to different forms of collaboration, even we did it. And we saw that kind of adoption rate is really going up. I'm completely with you. But we really see that working from home, working remote, working in a virtual collaboration, using different types of tools, highly accepted nowadays. And to a level no one has seen before. On the other hand, we also saw with the COVID-19 the limitations of the we see in our companies, but also in the society, where we are not ready for the digital transformation to the level as expected. We always talked about education systems have to be more digital, more modernized. You see the measures. You see education. I have kids in school, and I see each single day how far we are away from the vision we always try to achieve and the reality. Giving lessons virtually has not worked pretty well, honestly. We struggled with that in Germany. We struggled. So because why? The digital infrastructure was not there. It was not there. The teachers have not been prepared back to the people, because maybe the idea was there, but the technical capabilities have not been there. How to use different types of communications, if it's the WebEx, Teams, etc., training for the people, whatever. And I see that the companies have invested quickly and responded quickly to the COVID challenge. They invested in IT environments, in collaboration environments, and the workforces have moved into remote working. So we also saw that the bandwidth requirements went up, of course. That was at the beginning a struggle, but then with all the video conferencing systems and everyone in parallel video conferencing, we saw challenges, and the companies pulled together their act pretty fast to keep the business operating. And I think that's a demonstration of what technology really can do if it's required. Now, back to the other, on the other hand, we saw also that new threats have arisen, with like the cyber threats. A lot of people in cyber criminals jumped on the bandwagon to cite the opportunity to get more, to earn more money, and even impacting hospitals at that time. And that has demonstrated that cybersecurity is also not at the expected level if you move to the digital transformation with such a speed. So it opened the door for the future, and everyone who was not prepared today will be prepared for the future, because as you said, the speed of the pandemic spreading was caught most of the companies and countries by surprise. And now a lot of companies have been surprised. They have responded. They have responded with the adoption rates of new means of collaboration and communication. But it also it made very transparent that we need to invest in a more structured way. Now I call it more tactical, buy a technology to survive the crisis. In the future, what I would expect is a more structured approach towards the digital transformation. I think the door is now way more open than ever before, because people understand that they have to adapt, they have to change. I always say, be quick or be dead, adapt or die. 4 out of 10 companies who are not investing in digital transformation now already to a high degree, the leading companies, will disappear in the future. So that was always a threat for the companies, but now they really feel it. That's a difference. So I think we see an increased adoption in digital technologies. We see an increased adoption in cloud. We see an increased adoption in automation all around the place to scale up with the demand you have for different in different areas. And we see, of course, that the investments in cyber will continue. I think it will be not normal anymore. What was normal before will be not normal after the pandemic. We will see a lot of these changes, and the digital transformation will definitely accelerate. Remote working will be the normal. Let's put it that way. It will be the normal, and our business has to adjust to that. And so, looking at the changes of the last months, I really saw a lot of changes in the mind changing decisions in some companies who have never thought about working remote. Now it's normal. So, and if we now can move in a situation where we combine the tactical approach with a strategic direction, and that's a management task. Let's put it that way. That's a management task, to build a strategy around that. A lot of IT managers want to move in digital transformation before, but investments have been not freed up, etc., in some areas. So now I think this door is open, but it's also we have to be careful not to move to a technocentric approach again and use the technology we have. We should also think, what is our strategy behind that? And that's valid for companies, but it's valid as well for the state, for the health systems, etc. We need a strategy behind that, and not only a technology. And I think digital transformation will come faster than ever before. I'm with you. And we will see an adoption unparalleled, unbelievable. I would have not considered it moving so fast in January when the new year started. So it was always a fight to get the projects approved and move on, because the normal for us, because we all are human beings, a change is not always a positive thing. We like stability. We like what we have seen in the past, and moving away from well-known patterns is not easy. I think we all know that from home. If you change something in your house, it's always a little bit uncomfortable for a while, and then after a while, you cannot imagine how was it before. It's like it's like automation in your house, in your garden.
Yeah. It's a good metaphor. Yeah.
It worked very well before, but now I really like it. I really like it, but it's a different story. So for me, I think the transformation will change. The way how we will operate will change, and the business strategy will adapt faster than before.
So fantastic, and I completely believe, and I like especially the emphasis you are putting in the process of having strategy behind the technology, and as well having people's process, because that's a big challenge right now. So and to wrap up, because we passed already 1 hour, but I want to touch two questions. Yeah, so it's been going fast. So 2 things right now that I want to touch. So we touched a lot in cybersecurity But and you, I think there was one thing that you touched that very few people are talking. Why cybersecurity? First of all, cybersecurity is an invisible threat because people are not seeing how impactful it is. And for instance, most of the studies say that the global cost will exceed 6 trillion by 2021. And for instance, both the Interpol and the CIA and most of the big intelligence agencies are talking about the risk, especially for healthcare and a lot of other things. But you touch one part that I think it's important to highlight. So, of course, you are building intelligence cybersecurity into infrastructure. And like you said, this needs to be in the context of a digital technology strategy, because if you have a cybersecurity without the rest, it doesn't work. But you touch as well the point that a lot of people get away with that or get even with that. So can you touch that angle from your experience as well, working with big organizations and as well in a major multi-billion-dollar company that is focused a lot in research and development? Because that's a very important thing as well for everyone.
Yeah, let's make it an example. We see ransomware was one of the hot topics in the past 2 years, I would say, because it was easy to earn money. And there's even in the dark web, you find service providers who offer a ransomware as a service offerings where you can buy ransomware. You just use a technology toolkit and put your ransomware applications together. It will be executed as a service. And at the end, you have a kind of revenue sharing model or something as a service. So you don't even have to have the technology expertise. You can even, if you just have the criminal intention, you can build something for yourself and create a business out of that. On the other hand, and it's hard to be caught on that side. Just to be clear, it's very hard to be caught. A lot of companies are not really prepared for that type of attacks. That means we recently, last year, I think we launched a survey and we found out that 37% of the companies would prefer to pay ransom instead of investing in a preventive cybersecurity strategy, because they considered, as you said, it's a hidden threat. And there was always a thought, it will not impact me, it will be the others, not me. So that means if you don't move away from the perception that it will not impact you, and you are not preparing for the threat, it's easy for the cyber criminals to get on you. That's the first thing which is very important. And I have been in a lot of situations where clients they had no backups, they had no preparation for ransomware attacks at all. They had no crisis management, nothing ready for that. And you know, for ransomware, one thing is important: backup, so that you have that you can jump back on a version which is not impacted at that time. And the other thing is important: being ready to pay is, for me, sending the wrong signal to the cyber criminals, because that means there is a business. It's better to prepare and not paying. Of course, it's easy to say. There's always a certain level of business risk where you consider, I need to protect my business as well. So never say never, but I think I'm aligned with most of the cyber security experts who say don't pay, prepare, and patch, and back up. So that's not highly sophisticated, but the reality. On the other hand, it's important to build a cybersecurity early warning system so they see threats before they impact your business. And that's back to technology. It requires a lot of artificial intelligence as well, because if you want to see who's attacking you, you need to have a system to see the attackers already approaching your company before they really are in your before they get into your network. That's an important point as well, because you don't want them in your network for a period. And I talked to one of the hackers for a while ago, and he said, if I'm in, I just need 1 hour or 2 hours, and then I'm fine. I have what I need. So your time to respond is pretty short. And then they're gone, and they have what they had, or they still stay there and see what they can find next time. So it's very important that you have a smart solution which detects all anomalies, all potential attacks, and in the best case, also have a data, and you have to teach the system to recognize that before from a pool of intelligent data points to identify this guy could be an attacker. This is an attack vector I have to consider without telling the system what you have to look for. It needs to be automated. A smart threat intelligence works with smart data and smart algorithms to do that, to predict an attack before impact your company. That's I can only recommend to the companies, do the patching, do the homework, do the preparation, don't think you are not impacted, and also work on a smart solution and pre-warning system that you detect the attackers early enough. And the cyber criminal is, there's such a massive market out there for the services, as I said before. And if you see what can be delivered nowadays, what kind of services you can buy, it's a little bit shocking because my moral compass is a different one. So I always struggle with that approach, but it's a brutal business model. And I had a discussion, an interview with one of the former president of a police in Germany. And he said the margins in cybersecurity is better than we're dealing with drugs. So he said, and the risk profile is lower, and that's the situation where we are in, and therefore cybersecurity is essential, and the companies have to prepare.
That's
sorry, I'm passionate about that, but it's
no. This is actually, I think this is not highlighted enough. I think people, like you said, they prefer to clean the mess and try to hide, but it's a very important thing. So to wrap up, and I think in conscious of the length of the fantastic insights, there's a lot of things here that we will put as well, notes and things like that. But so the last question I have, and as well, you touched part of this, is the future vision. And it starts with the present, but how do you see a vision special being a leader in one of the global companies in technology, but as well a person very focused on society and change? And I love as well, particularly that you have the tradition of 120 years history.
Yeah.
So that you went through a lot of, and history changes, but a lot of things repeat itself. So how would be your future present vision that you highlight as well, as a leader and as a technology
in related to the society, to our business, to technology?
I think it's
wow.
This is for you. The interview is with you. No, but it's summary.
It's hard. It's hard. I think we will see a future which will be completely data and technology driven in the future. So our dependency on technologies will increase, but also we will move from a technology to a value technology discussion in the future. And that's, for me, it's not a vision, it's also something I consider as very relevant. We will see also that technology discussions will converge with ethical discussions. What should we do? What should we not do? So we will see a revival of the philosophy to a certain degree. What is good? What is bad? And by the way, I love that discussion, and that's another thing. And by having this discussion on various levels in the society and in the business, combined with a discussion about sustainability, I'm a very positive thinking person. That we will move into a society which will be enabled by smart technology, smart connectivity, and create an ethical value for us all that will will help us to build a strategy that will also help our kids. And that's my vision for myself. I want to build a society and a business and an environment where my kids can live and my kids' kids can live as well. So it's a little bit a vision, absolutely, but I think technology will play an incremental important role to secure the future of our planet and of our kids. So that's maybe a little bit long-term vision, but I think we have to go step by step in that direction. Without technology supporting sustainability, we will not achieve that. And that's for me a clear vision. And maybe some people would call it I'm a dreamer on that, but I'm happy that we are part of that journey, that we can contribute to that journey. And from a personal feeling, a personal perspective, that's important for me because we create value for the society. I can create value with the company I'm working for. And the vision of NTT is, of course, our logo is the infinite loop, it's called. The infinite loop means we get information from society. We take information, we take data, we create technology and bring it back to society, and the iteration starts from again. It's we take and we provide to the society. And that's an important point. And I'm highly interested in a lot of technical discussions about should we talk about singularity, should we talk about AI taking over, etc. I like the dystopies. I read a lot of science fiction in younger years and all these things. But I think if we manage it in a smart way, the technology will create massive benefits, more benefits than risks for us. And we're having the right discussions at the moment. We are talking about the ethical AI. We talk about how we can use robotics in a smart and a way without creating problems for society. So I think we do the right things in most of the countries. And of course, you can always use technology for bad things as well. You can use artificial intelligence to create a state which monitors each single person. But I think overall the society is beyond that, and people will not accept that. So I think we are on the right track here. Of course, it will be a journey for the next decades, but it's a long-term journey. It's not a sprint; it's a marathon. So I think the question is too broad to answer in a few seconds.
No. I think it was a top level, and I think you answered fantastic. And I think we always try to finish with hope. And I think as business leaders, like you said, I love the idea of the infinity loop. And I think it's a great way to wrap up, because of course, like we could go for hours discussing about all the challenges. And actually we're right in the future. So you touched it very well. So
good.
So I would like to thank you for this fantastic interview, and as well a lot of great insights. We're going to put a lot of notes and links to your profiles and to NTT, because that's the idea of these interviews. And in behalf of our organization and all the people involved, thank you so much, and wish you all the best. Stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was a great time.